Welcome back. Today we're going to charge those cases with some powder. Now I thought about it quite a bit. You know, I've done a lot of reloading for the 270 over the years with this, a lot of powders before this, but this is a 32-year-old canister of powder that I bought, is that right? Benny, he always wants to get in on the act. I know, you just have to wait. But anyway, I've decided, instead of using this old favorite, it always has given me fantastic accuracy. I get great accuracy with the 270. I've had fantastic accuracy with my 257 Roberts and a couple of other calibers. But I'm going to venture off into the unknown, and I'm going to try this IMR 4350. Now 4350 is also one of the great powders for the 270 Winchester. It's a little bit quicker powder. It's not quite as slow, but also too it has the advantage of not being compressed, and it loads about 5 grains lighter in weight. So that means that you have less recoil. So I have no idea how it's going to shoot. I do believe that I tried IMR 450 years ago. It's the name of the powder that is now discontinued, and it didn't shoot so well. But I've never tried IMR 4350 in it, and I know that that's a very, very renowned powder for the 270, especially with 130 grain bullets. So that's what we're going to do. So before I do anything else, rule number 1 is to put all powders away except for the one that you're going to be using. Safety first. I'm going to show you a little trick about, I'm going to be using this dispenser along with my beam balance scale, and it's going to go very quickly. So I'll show you a couple of tricks on how to get that done. First thing that everybody should do is keep a good notebook so you record all your data and record all the faults as well as the successes, because that way there you don't repeat the same errors later on down the road. It could be several years later. You might get a new pound of powder and say, gee, I haven't tried this load before, when in fact you really did. So record everything and date it, and that way there you'll always be able to refresh your memory. If you have, you know, it's very easy to lose track of what you're doing. So in my ledger here, I keep, first of all, what caliber it is and model rifle. If there were more than one rifle of the same sort, I'd record the serial number, because individual rifles don't necessarily shoot the same loads. They simply don't. I've indicated the cases, which are Starline Virgin. They're turned. I didn't record that they're deburred flash holes, because that's a standard process I always do. Bullets are Hornady interlock flat-based bullets, and I prefer flat-based bullets for almost everything. I mean, unless I'm shooting in excess of 400 yards, you know, boat-tail bullets really, for one thing, they take up more case room, so that you actually end up with usually less velocity, because you know, they're intruding on the powder volume. So you actually get a little bit faster velocity, and faster velocity also it helps ballistic coefficient out. In other words, ballistic coefficient is part and parcel of getting the bullet downrange faster. Time of flight is very significant with any ammo. So and flat-based bullets are more accurate too. Any bench rest shooter knows that. The next thing is I've listed the powder IMR 4350 and the source that I obtained it from, because sometimes you'll wonder, you know, what book did I get that from? It comes from Hodgdon and /Lee, because Lee obtains all his information from the individual powder manufacturers. And I double-checked that to make sure that Hodgdon's data was the same, and it is. So knowing that the highest load is 55 grains for that cartridge, using that formula that I told you about, where the first digit here is a 5. If it had gone over 50, if it had gone over 56 grains, I would have gone up to the next increment to 60. But I'm using that first digit, moving the decimal point over 2 places, which gives me 5/10 of a grain increments. So a half a grain increment is what I'm using, and stepping back down, I start out with 53 grains, 53 and a half, 54, 54 and a half, and 55. So let's show you a couple of nice techniques to make this process quicker and simpler. I've weighed out 53 grains in my tray here from my balance beam. You can do this with a digital scale. It doesn't make any difference. But if you're using a powder measure, this is a handy trick to have. First of all, I'm going to take my powder measure, make sure there's nothing in it. Put all other powders aside. You don't want to have any other powders on the bench that might confuse you. Open up your stem so that it will accept all the powder that you pour down into it. I'm just going to pour that one charge down there. Looking down into the top of the hopper, I'm going to make sure that all the powder has gone into the charge hole inside this drum. Now, with it at horizontal against the back of the drum plate, I'm going to just close that stem on it. In other words, I'm filling up that drum to capacity. Close the ring, close the lock ring, and never ever use pliers on this. It's not going to move. Now, that has set my volume. Now I can pour in all my powder, fill it up to capacity, and it's just about going to exhaust my 4350 when I'm done. Of course, I don't think I'll probably only use about a third of that, I think. So now, we'll go and set this drum. Drop a couple of charges down through it. And we'll put it on the scale and see how close that comes to 53. So we're going to open that up a little bit. Make sure my balance beam isn't sticking. I'm going to open it up just a little bit. I want to have that balance beam coming to within about 2 graduations. I've also filled up my trickler here. And if you have a trickler that tends to walk around on you as you use it, I like these metal ones. And many years ago, I poured molten lead underneath this, and I coated the bottom with silicone rubber, so this doesn't move at all. It's nice and heavy. And so now I can simply bring that balance beam up to level. It's perfectly level right now. Now I'm using a standard funnel, but if you have charges that tend to be compressed, always use a drop tube, and a drop tube will align those kernels as they go down. So we're just going to go one at a time, repeating the process. And if you pour down the side and allow the powder to swirl, it won't bunch up at the bottom of the hole here, and it will flow in like water going down a drain. This is rather cathartic to me. I love doing this. It's at eye level. I can see what I'm doing. I'm not paying several $100s for a machine that does exactly the same thing and buzzes. Okay, I just moved this up to 54 grains. I'm going to open up this drum by another half a turn and continue along. And always when you charge, leave your stem in the down position so that it fills naturally, and when you're charging with the handle stroke going down. That's the end of my 54.5. And we'll go up to 55, which I could either move this one over one more notch, or I can continue to go up on that side, which I will do. Yeah, pretty close. About 2 or 3 kernels. Perfect. Last charge. And always swing the handle with a swift cadence. 1, 2. Don't be hesitant about it. And that completes them. Now, under the light here, I can look down on those cases and I can see, if I couldn't see the powder, I'd use a flashlight, but I can see those cases very clearly, and I'm going to look down and make sure that each one of those cases is filled exactly the same. That's important. So I'll set a piece of paper over those and keep my record open so I know exactly what it is. And the next time we meet, we're going to see bullets. Thank you for watching, and especially to my Patreon donors. All the help that you've given me is fantastic. I appreciate it. As you can see, the powder price is just going absolutely berserk right now. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and hit that bell so you know I'm around. Thanks for watching. God bless.